Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Beazy podcast, where we talk about the behind the scenes of the creative industry. And in today's episode, we have Carmen Gondard, a brand photographer based here in Berlin. Very excited to talk about you. And first, I will let you introduce yourself a little bit. Tell you where you're from, how you come, ended up in Berlin, and so on. And what style of photography do you do?
Yes. Okay. So, hi everyone. I'm so happy to be here. And I'm Carmen. I'm a brand photographer from Rosario, Argentina. I'm based in Berlin since 3 years ago. And so, a little bit of background, I've studied cinematography in Argentina and worked in audiovisual projects in the direction and production areas. And by that time, I started to work as a photographer on events, and I found my passion was in taking people's portraits. So after that, I worked with the small brands and designers, and I found I really enjoy this part of planning and creating a concept with specific brand needs. So when I moved to Berlin, I focused on doing more of this project of creative portraits and editorials and personal brands projects, and I found my purpose in this.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, I think you did a similar way of Danny as well.
Yes.
Yes, because
Oh
he also
wow.
studied film
Yes.
cinematography, and then he also went to photography. And
Yes.
this is funny because many people do the other way around. I myself, I started as a photographer, just taking photos. What draws me a lot into photography, besides travel, which is like what got me started to take a camera,
Wow.
was light painting. So I was doing light painting for a good 2 3 years in the beginning. But then for me it was the opposite. I started taking pictures, and like you found your passion in the branding, and for me
Yes.
the more I studied about storytelling is
Oh
what
wow.
drove me like more and more into like discovering more things about the art itself. And then I did a bit of photojournalism, and then I was like, okay, this is already going and telling a story. And then I was like, okay, but I still feel that thing that, okay, with video, I started seeing that you can build a way bigger story. Not saying that like photography, if it tells a story, is very powerful. With one picture, you can have all those feelings and everything. And like you probably try
Yeah,
to
of
do
course.
this with your photography, trying to get the brand message across with this one photo. But for
Yes.
me, I just got more into story arcs and all this stuff. And then
Yes.
and I was yeah, impassioned with film. And
Mhm.
that's how I moved, and now I'm like doing way more cinematography. and
Yes.
and so I did the opposite
Okay, that's
path.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so nice, and storytelling is so important, and it's so beautiful. And yeah, I love to watch movies and to watch short films, and it's also an inspiration for me. But yeah, it's I think it's also evolving all the time, and I think this is my purpose now. But yes, it's okay that your creative processes evolve and your creative inspiration also evolve.
Mm.
In yes.
Okay, so our question is like, did you study cinematography or started working like unrelated or?
Yes, I've studied and finished my studies and working by the same time I was studying.
Mhm.
Yes. So yeah, for me it was super inspiring to also to network, and actually my first photography shop was because of one photographer I met in on my studies of cinematography. So yeah, I suppose they are really let's say connected ways to create.
Mhm. Yeah, and I guess this is one of the main advantages of going to film school or photography
Yes.
school is the networking, right? Because you
Yes.
meet a lot of people that are there doing the same thing, and these, yeah, it's one of the things that the creative industry still relies on is a thing called word of mouth. It's
Yes.
basically who you know rather than how really good you are.
Yes.
Because if you know more people, you might get more jobs than someone that actually could be more skilled than yourself, but he doesn't have the connections, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and this I think like brings me also to my next question. Yeah, I already talked about with you like off camera. Let's put it this way. That is, um, when I try to find more about you, I try to find a website and everything to have more information. And I saw that you apparently don't own a website, at least yet, and
Yes.
most of your kind of portfolio is based on social media, right?
Yes.
And how is it? Why is it a decision that you have your work being displayed there? Because many people are afraid that like, okay, I'm gonna be depending on the algorithm, and like
Yes.
one of most common tips is first thing you need to have is a portfolio website, and you are living proof that you don't really need, right? It's like it's a
Yes.
nice to have, but you don't need that. So can you explain a bit more of this decision of focusing
Yeah.
on the social media as your portfolio kind of
Yes,
business
of
card? Yeah.
course. Yes, I think it was really natural for me. In the beginning, I was posting what I like, photos of Berlin, for example, and yeah, I found it was really a beautiful place to connect with other like-minded people and people who share the same values and ideas. Yeah, I don't know. I suppose because of hashtags and and things, but yeah, I really found that sharing what I like, what I want to do, and the work I want to produce, and who I want to help on social media is really how I'm connecting with my ideal people right now. And yes.
Okay. Yeah, this is another question we had prepared is who is the ideal people you just said, like who are the clients that you want to work with, and like it works with this approach of sharing your ideology and work through social media and having them on board. So who your target, let's put it this way, with this approach?
Yes, well, I help mainly modern entrepreneurs, brands, creatives who wants to create their content in an intentional way. Because the people who I work with, they have a specific profession or let's say business, but they have a wider idea or yeah, what their profession is. So this is why this holistic approach I take into photography, I think, really helps to put all these ideas and perspective they have about their profession into a content creation that truly express themselves in an authentic way.
Hmm. Nice. And yeah, for now, I guess there are many clients that find you through social media
Yes.
and come to you. But in the beginning, like, would you approach them through social media as well? You would just like go out and check brand profiles and say, hey, like I do this, or how was this initial approach when you weren't established yet and people were not coming to you? Yeah, how would you go after your clients with just the social media, for example?
Yes, so yes, I was telling you before when I moved to Berlin, I chose network as much as I could. I went to the Beazy meetings, and there I met a lot of inspiring people, photographers and models and dancers and people from another industries. So it is so important that also you connect with people around industries. They will help you to have a better perspective of what opportunities you have as a photographer. So this is one thing. Also, social media is where my clients reach me. nowadays. And yes, and also word of mouth is important, because if you really put all your heart and your effort into the project, and really take your time to understand the visions of your client, and how they want to express themselves. This all will help to create a client experience, or an experience just that more a photo session is about exploring, is about having fun, and this will create a word of mouth marketing naturally.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that ties in for another question that I had is basically when I see your Instagram, I
Yeah.
see well these are two questions I'm trying to split so we we can
Yeah.
first one is about your style because I guess now that I see your feed and everything I can see that you developed a very yeah more your style. I can see
Mm-hmm.
that you use a lot of like bright warm tones and everything,
Mm.
so this is towards your brand, right?
Yes.
um, and how do you develop this? You're talking about like going to the events, and I think
Yeah.
this is the other question that I had is like how important it is to do your personal projects as well on the side
Yes.
of the professional projects, so you can like with the professional projects you kind of earn your money and then you personal you develop your style. How does it work for you?
Yes. Yes. Of course. So, for me, a personal brand is to express your authenticity and uniqueness, and putting the value of what you offer in you as a person, and your vision and perspective on what you do. So yeah, for this is important for you to explore what you want to do, how you want to take photos of people, or how you want to approach your creative business. This is so important to have like this. I mean, for me, was this reflective part.
No, perfect. And this goes also with the next question I
Yes,
have, which is gonna be the process. Because
yes,
for you, you have your own style, and as I was saying, like from what I see at least, is like going for more this vibrant, bright, warm, more happy. But maybe a client has a very different style, right? So how is the
yes.
process of finding the style that works for the brand that you're working with?
Yes, of course. So, yes, my style, yes, I think I value these warm tones, neutral tones, simplistic backgrounds, because I think like this way I can achieve, or yeah, more of the authenticity of each person. And yes, also, sorry, but getting back into the your question before, like, yeah, doing your personal work and doing your creative projects on the side is also so important to develop your style. And the most important thing is just to gain experience and feel comfortable with your work. And I think the only way you can do this is shooting and working, and making mistakes is the only way to learn. And yes,
Yeah, and now like what I was asking,
yes,
sorry,
sorry.
is like when you have a brand that
Yes,
basically may not fit this style that you want. Is this a no go for you? Is like okay, this is not my style. Do I send you to someone else, or you just okay, like this is not my style, but this is the style that fits for you? How is this
yes.
process?
Yes, so at the beginning, I have a discovery call with a client, or a possible client, and we have a chat. And in this call, we always tell if you feel aligned and you feel comfortable with each other. And yes, I think I focus more on this. For me, it's important that my clients feel comfortable with me, and that they feel they can express the ideas, that it's a safe space for them to explore what they want to achieve, how they want to be perceived. So this is so the most important thing to me, that more than warm colors or not, or more than aesthetic part, I think it comes after than exploring. So this is where I found that having an intro call with clients also helps you to explain how is your process and how the thing's going to be. So also the client can say if they like how you do things or not. So yes.
Yeah, great. Yeah, another question that we had is basically tied to this a little bit, and I think it's a fact that will define if you're a good fit or not. Is
Yes.
how much input do you usually have when working with clients? Because we know that there are some clients that can be very picky, like I want this way, or some give you more creative freedom. How much input you have on the creative process? Is like you own the whole creative process, or you have clients that are also like more picky?
Yes, I guess for me it's more like a guidance. I do. I think that nowadays it's so important to work with aligned people who understand and values how you work and how you um, do things. So for this, it's so important for me to explore how you want your people feel when connecting with you, especially in social media, to create a feeling overall of your brand. So yeah, for me, I encourage my clients to actively take uh, plan their session, and in the planning process to think about all of these things, how they want to be perceived, how they want to the people to feel when connecting, and these more, I don't know, planning things or holistic things will help to develop after a aesthetic that is aligned with this.
Yeah, that's funny that you mentioned because I have a very similar process
Yes.
on the video. Usually, I do also a discovery call, and many times because I work a lot with also doing like promotional videos for marketing and everything, and being a marketer other than a filmmaker, sometimes I start asking some questions to the clients that they're like, okay, that's a good question. I didn't really think about it, you know. And I think this is what also gives them the feeling, the trust that you're not just taking a photograph, you're making a video. You're there to help them, like bring this brand to the next level, right?
Yeah.
Because if you say like, okay, I need 10 photos for this campaign with these and these guidelines, probably you have a lot of photographers that can do. But if you go into this discovery call and it's like, okay, but why do you need 10 people? Why 10 pictures? Why do you need 10 like this style? What are you trying to say with this style? Is your audience and who you're talking to? When we start getting this more what you call the holistic approach, or like what I usually say that you become like more of a strategic partner rather than a service provider, right?
Yeah, of course.
And then when you get to this level, I think is also when people see the value of the work, right? Because as I was saying, like probably there are many other photographers that could do a similar job, but if they don't go through this process, I think this is the biggest differentiator, because I don't know where I heard this before, but like skill just gets you until certain point, you know, because when you get a skill at some point, you're gonna be in a level that he was saying that like between 1,500 and I don't know 3,000 video, there is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that can do. What will get you to this next level that clients are willing to pay more is not because of skill anymore. It's because you understand their problem, you understand exactly who you're trying to get, and they just in the end their business, right? So when they come to any service provider, it's like, okay, I need a return on my investment. If you can start thinking about, okay, this is gonna be exactly what your audience wants, they're gonna see you not just as a photographer, of more like of a strategic partner. So it's very interesting because I'm also going more towards this path, and I see that like when I finish the calls, many people are like, okay, like I came here to do 1 2 minute video, and now I realize that I might not need a 2 minute video. It's better if I spend the same money or even different amount of money to get this, because I have specific goals and everything. Now I really know the path I need to take to make the video work.
Yeah.
Because you can, like for me, in my case, I can produce you a video, but if you don't have uh, ads running, if you don't have the tracking, if you don't have this, you're not gonna get the return. My video could be the best, but if you
Yeah.
don't have the other pieces in place, I know you're not gonna be able to take the most out of the video. And I think for you, it's similar with your photography. You can say like, okay, I can take these pictures, but if you don't have these other pieces of the puzzle in place, this is not gonna work. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how good my photography is. This is the medium. How you promote the medium, how you put the words together with the medium, all of these matter, right? So yeah, for me, I just talking more about this because I think this is a very good approach, and I think this is what sets you apart from other photographers that are just selling pictures and not selling the full service of, I understand your brand, I know who you want to talk to, and I think these people want to hear or want to see this kind of visual media, and this is what I want to provide to you, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Okay.
so since we're talking about the process, discovery call, and everything, another thing that I wanted to ask you is how is your kind of step by step process? If you have anything like a workflow in place, just to give you an example, like for me, I also do discovery call, and then the first I come up with like a small concept, and then I can ask them questions more specific and present a kind of a draft of outline. I wouldn't do like a kind of script yet. And in this, I already have, actually a little bit before I asked them to send me like videos that they like, that they want, they think is like has the same purpose. And from that, I break down the video and I get the information I get from the client and then try to put in a format, present them a kind of an outline, see if they accept the outline, say like, oh, this is a good idea. Then I go to write a script and then create a kind of a storyboard so they can also see kind of the video before we make it. Because this way, when I go on set, it's like, okay, I'm just taking the shots we already planned and we already agreed with. And I feel like for me, this also doesn't create problems on the day of the shoot, that is like, okay, no, but like I think this way is nicer this way, because like since we agreed before, then I have post production with 3 revisions and delivery. So this is like a kind of a step by step, right? Do you have something similar, or how is your process with your clients from the discovery call until the deliverables?
Yes, so yeah, it's really similar to yours. And yes, I first we have a discovery call and just to chat and see who we would like to work together. And then I send them a session guide where it's good to start the thinking process about time of the day, location, color palette, mindset, and different props can be used. And I also send them a brand questionnaire to start thinking about the feelings of their photos or content. Yes, how they want to be perceived with their photos. And after this, we create a mood board on Pinterest where they add the photos, aesthetics, and we go through it together. And yes, once that we agreed, with the concept, the aesthetics, and overall feeling. We create session guidelines that with all the information for the shoot, from the outfits, props, the location and time, and so to focus on the session day to have fun and enjoy the moment and get creative, having the shooting idea all in mind.
Okay. And from the deliverables, usually you have like a set of deliverables, because I think this is something that differentiates a lot on the more like brand side. Do you also actually, this just came up to mind, like do you have this agreement that they can use, like kind of licensing? Do you also do licensing, or you just like give them the photos and they can use for an indefinite time, or how it works? Because this is something that we get asked a lot as well about kind of licensing and
Yes, they have the PIN release, and yes, we do this at the beginning of the process when we sign the contract. So there is all specified the hours of shoot, the release contract, when where the photos can be used. But yes, in general, can be used all related to the personal brand marketing. So yes, and then the delivery, except it is asked for the brand, I select them, the photos, cull them, and edit them, and send all the good ones in 2 weeks delivery time.
that's a quick turnaround.
Yes, that's what they say to me always, but I'm happy to help. And also I know it's important to take the time to edit the photos, but also that you have your photos quick or your videos quick, because it's an ever evolving time, and it's time that we need content. And so that's why important the quick delivery time for me.
Yeah. And you touched about the contract, like especially people in the beginning of their careers, they don't really pay attention of like making an official contract before the shoot. In your experience, like how important it is to have a written contract saying exactly like, okay, this is what we agreed, and so yeah, usually you hope you don't have problems, but I know that sometimes it can get out of hand with some clients. So do you think it's important, the contracts, or how you go about it?
Yes, it's super important, the contract, and it's also important to have a digital contract that the people can fill online, just like a digital signature, and this is so easy to have it this way. But I found is beneficial for both parts, because as a photographer you get covered on everything that can happen, but also for the clients it's also so important to know all the time of the session, the delivery time, the amount of photos they will have, and everything outlined, so they also for their peace of mind is also necessary.
And you also look more professional, right? Like
Yeah.
it feels like, okay, I'm dealing with a real professional. I have to sign a contract and everything.
Yes.
um, yeah. I had a few other questions. Is more about like if someone is thinking about becoming a brand photographer like you, because we talked about that many times. It's not only about the skills. It's more about understanding exactly what your client wants, how this photo goes like hand in hand with the brand. But this is something you also have to learn. This is a kind of another skill besides photography, right? So how do you develop this skill? How was for you, for example? Because as you said, you had like from cinematography and then photos and then more into brands. How did you discover, and how did you become more aware of finding these points, like understanding brands? Do you have any tips on how to navigate this side that is not only in photography as well, more like this understanding of the client?
Yes. So I think first is being aware of what you feel, in which project you feel comfortable. Uh, doing. This is so important to understand and to evolve into the the art or the type of photography you want to do. This is so important, and I think it's the main advice I can give, because from doing cinematography or events, I enjoy it. I mean, it was my passion. I really had fun doing this, but it was like I always felt something was missing somehow. And it's, yeah, you just need to practice, to work a lot, and yeah, to don't be afraid to make mistakes. This is so important, and to try, and then until you feel happy with your work. This is the aim. And it doesn't need to be perfect though. It's just you need to be happy, you need to be feel comfortable, and then this way you will also be able to help in a better way your clients, because you will be secure, you will be proud of your work. So this is also the clients will come to you because you feel this way, whatever you do.
Mhm. Yeah, it shows off, right?
Yeah.
When you when you're actually passionate about and you're doing this for the love of it. I agree. I think it shows in the work, and they can see that, that this is not just a job for you. You're doing
Yes.
this because you really want. Yeah, thanks a lot. I think this was a really great talk. I'm probably gonna wrap up here. There was more. We could be here for hours,
Yes.
but we keep it this short. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for sharing all your insights. And yeah, before we go, let people know where people can find you.
Yes, so my Instagram is Carmen Gondard, and you can find me there. You can send me a DM, ask me anything you want, questions you have. I'm so happy to help you. And yes, we keep in touch in there. And thank you so much for this beautiful space. And yeah, so looking forward.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing all the insights and your journey. So then, thanks again for your time and insights, Carmen. And
Thank
uh,
you so much for having me.
yeah, and see you guys in the next episode. And until then, keep creating.